This message is about, evil bloodlines, and here's the thing about this. Evil bloodlines can go transmute into like generational curses, and I don't care if like people just don't believe in that thing or not. The whole concept, you've probably heard that in religious sectors and factions before about generational curses, but it is real, and it heavily goes into people's addictions as well. Maybe you don't even realize, because they'll say, well, sometimes it can skip a generation and hit yours, or you fall under it because your grandparents did it, your dad did it, your mom, whoever. And really, it's just evil within your bloodline lineage. And I've noticed it happens to the best people. They end up dealing with these things because it's it's from past ancestors or whatever. And I just identify it as it's just evil, and it has to be literally eradicated out of the bloodline, and especially to good people that they never wanted it. And it's just like, it's almost like, I'll give an example. Like, there's a girl I know, and she's like, she wants to drink, but she can't drink like everyone else and just quit. Like, she has something in her brain, like something. It's the same thing with my mother as well. Like, they would drink, but it's just like that, whatever that thing that is supposed to, like, okay, I've had enough. That part doesn't shut off, and they want to keep doing and doing. Well, I kind of see that as a generational curse, where it's just like they don't have that, so they can't shut it off. They just want to keep doing it and doing it. Well, it's just like that has to be eradicated. And it's just literally, man, it's sad when it happens to the best kinds of people, and I just identify it. It's like this black goose stuff. It's just like I have this belief, this stuff that always go on was like the bloodlines tampered with. Was it sequenced? Was it tweaked? You hear about it in these shows like the History Channel's Ancient Aliens and all this stuff, and I was like, I do believe this because they spiritually tweaked, as in they infused these um, um, spirits or a spirit into the human bloodline sect, and it was almost like they didn't just spiritually dissect it, but basically they spliced it, and it was like a spiritual splicing. And you think of like physically selective breeding, well, it's almost like you think of generational curses, right? Not everyone has it, but it's almost like a spiritual selective breeding, as in who would carry the generational curse, who would not, who would it hit, and who would it not. So it's almost like that in a way. It's almost like a spiritual selective breeding, and almost like they're hybridizing the human blood type DNA or the genome, sequencing it out, whatever, splicing it. And this is why I call them the progenitor types, because it's like especially I pointed out to these fallen angels and all the things that existed before most humans did. They did things to our bloodlines, and you could say Anunnaki or whatever else, but sequenced it, tweaked it, spiritual selective breeding, whatever. I believe, and it goes into, I'll talk about the blood type mutations. Especially I was talking about the negative RH factors, but it can fall under, definitely I would say, I see it falls under generational curses as well. When it's only a certain sect, it's not everybody. Because I've met people that don't have they don't fall into people having like certain addictions, but it can also fall into other things as well, too. But you wonder about the whole blood type mutation. Why is blood types a thing? And certain people have certain blood types that get created or something like that. Especially, I was talking about the negative RH factors and the positive recessive, and people with different blood types as well. Well, I do believe as well the whole sequencing, tweaking thing, especially when you hear about the ancient alien stuff and human hybrid. Well, wholeheartedly, I do believe it falls under generational curses as well, and it goes back to the beginning before most humans were here. But even people who are not religious, I'm not religious either. I just know that there's a lot of facts to that. It's just people don't see it. I'm a seer by nature, so I can sort of like see into the spirit and everything, and it's been getting downloads since I was young. But I do wholeheartedly believe this. Even people, or even your religious, or whoever among whatever faith, well, man, pray about it, you know? You got to be open to these types of things, seeing types of things, even if it's like, stuff you've never heard of. But I most certainly believe, yes, the faction of this is it does fall under generational curses. And I can tell you for wholeheartedly that even my family has different blood types, and there is generational curses that have fallen, and things that are still within both sides of my mother and father's bloodline that is still corrupt and it still has to be rid of. So if you fall under the category where if you've known someone that is just like they don't have that special thing that turn on and off, like if they're doing like drinking or whatever else, like any kind of addiction, it doesn't have to be like drugs or alcohol, just anything like gambling can be an addiction, sugar or whatever else. It's like, but they can't turn it off, so they want to keep going. Yeah, I would say that falls under the category of having a generational curse, and definitely from past ancestors or whatever else, but it could skip generations and hit years, and it definitely falls under the different blood types, but also spiritually selective breeding as well. I hope I didn't confuse anybody. I'm trying to make this as simple as possible for people to understand that this literally goes back to tweak blood types. Specifically, the Cain spirit, and I do believe it was rooted into that hybrid black goose stuff. But basically, spiritual selective breeding, look at it like they selected, and it was definitely black magic infused to select different bloodline lineages, because not all of them had to deal with it, but some were selected, and damn it, it's always the best people, right? Most caring, loving people, and you just see them fade away. And they did have free choice to choose it, but once they did, well, it was all purposely designed for them to take it or not, even for their free will. But we choose what we want. We choose how we want to be every day, We do have a choice to change. You heard of things and a choice to not stick with these things, but it's up to us, right? So I hope I didn't confuse anybody. If I did, let me know in the comments, like if I should clear up anything, or you want to know about this, or what did this mean? I've never heard these terms, because I'm sure some of these terms you probably never heard. You probably never heard progenitor types or that black goose stuff or whatever. Just let me know in the comments if did I make it clear enough or no. All right, let me know. Power out.